The world is full of evil people. There are people who kill for a reason. Then there are people who just do it for fun. But we humans, as a society, have agreed to put one type of crime above every crime when it comes to severity. Any crime that hurts or endangers children. A recent revival of a case that's almost a decade old has sent shockwaves across the world. The epicenter? Cheshire, northwest England. What you're about to see is the moment when this woman, Lucy Letby, a seemingly normal woman living in a small county, gets arrested. The video is from 2018, and the crime? Lucy Letby was found guilty of murdering 7 infants in the most twisted and evil way possible. What's even worse is that Letby was a nurse by profession, working in the neonatal unit, so the infants she killed were under her supervision and care.
Oh, Lucy, is it?
Yes.
Hello, my name's Chester, please. Look, it's Stefan, 2 seconds.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put you in the back seat over here.
Hold on, man.
Yeah.
Get the seat there.
Okay, just take a seat in there for me, Lucy. I'll move that seat forward a bit shortly.
Yeah, I've just had knee surgery. So.
Oh, right, okay.
Let me tell you the spine-chilling story of the nurse who murdered babies, how she operated, how she was caught. Also, you'll see that she was not the only one involved in this crime, and as the story unfolds, not only will it break your heart, but also enrage you. If you looked at the life of Lucy Letby before she started her heinous crimes, you'd never believe that this person can be remotely capable of doing such acts. Lucy had a very normal childhood and teenage years, and there was nothing I could find that says otherwise. She never showed any signs of aggressive behavior or had any conditions that would deem her violent. She always wanted to work with children, and she did. She became a nurse in 2011, but started working in the neonatal unit from 2015. Lucy was loved by her colleagues, and their testimony was that she is a caring and loving person. She loved seeing the babies progress and supporting their families. She even took part in a fundraiser for a new neonatal unit in the hospital she was working at. But then things changed completely when she joined the neonatal unit of the hospital in the spring of 2015. It was this hospital where the most gravely sick children were given under her care, which makes the case even more gut-wrenching. I do not know what turned inside her, and I don't think anyone else knows either. How does a person who has been completely normal for most of her life suddenly starts doing perhaps the most disgusting crimes ever? Before Lucy started working at the hospital and started her killings, the neonatal mortality rate of the hospital was barely around 1 to 2 babies every year. When she started taking lives, there were 4 deaths in just a month. Here's how she committed those heinous murders. The first victim was a baby not older than a few months. What really breaks my heart is that the victims did not even live long enough to have a name. After she murdered the first baby, she sent text messages to her colleagues about how difficult the death was for her. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Just a big shock for all of us. Hard coming in tonight and seeing the parents. The parents she's talking about also had another baby, the sibling of the first child she killed. She had tried attacking that child as well, but could not kill her. She wrote, "I just don't know how I'm going to feel seeing the parents. Dad was on the floor crying, saying, 'Please don't take our baby away,' when I took him to the mortuary. It's just heartbreaking." To act so compassionate and caring in front of the colleagues and parents right after killing their child is truly diabolical and shows the deranged condition of Lucy. But after 3 days of the death, she wanted to get back into the neonatal unit. Perhaps her desire to kill was taking hold of her again. On 11th June, she texted her manager asking to work more shifts. "From a confidence point of view, I need to take an ITU baby soon." She was denied. This led to an irritable exchange with a colleague. She wrote, "I need to go straight back and care for another baby. Otherwise, the image of the one you lost never goes." To this, the colleague replied, "I agree, but I don't think it will help. You need a break from full on ITU. It sounds very odd and I would be complete opposite." A few texts later, Letby replies, "Forget I said anything. I'll be fine. It's a part of the job. I don't feel like there is much team spirit tonight." But then, after some time, She enters the nursery where the third baby was being treated. Letby goes in and injects air into the baby's stomach through the nasogastric tube, killing the baby mercilessly on June 14th. After the death, she sent this text message to her colleague. "Sorry if I was off, just wasn't a great start to shift, but sadly it got worse. I was struggling to accept what happened to the first baby. Now we've lost the third baby overnight and it's a bit too much." She gets a reply, "Hoping you're going to be okay. This isn't like you. Sending you biggest hugs." Then she writes back, "I just keep seeing them both. No one should have to see and do what things we do. It's heartbreaking, but it's not about me. We learn to deal with it. Thank you." After killing the fourth baby who was just recovering and getting better, she texts her colleague, telling her about the death. "You're about to see the mind of a twisted psychopath and how manipulative they can get."
"We lost baby D." "What? She was improving. What happened? Wanna chat? I can't believe you were on again. You having such a tough time." On a day-to-day basis, it's an incredible job with so many positives. But then sometimes I think, how do such sick babies get through and others just die so suddenly and unexpectedly? Guess it's how it's meant to be. I think there is an element of fate involved. There is reason for everything. She then writes to another colleague, "What I have seen really hits me. I can't talk about it now. I can't stop crying. I just need time to get it out of my system." It was not before other nurses started noticing the alarming death rates and getting suspicious. One of the nurses messaged Letby, telling her that she's confused about the deaths. There is something odd about that night and the other three that went so suddenly. Alarmed at the suspicion, Letby quickly starts to step back and give possible reasons for the death. Well, the third baby was tiny, obviously compromised in utero. The fourth baby was septic. It's the first baby I can't get my head around. August 4th, the fifth baby dies. After killing the fifth baby, she got a text from another nurse asking how Lucy was doing. Even Lucy could feel that the nurses were getting suspicious of her presence in all the unexplained deaths. "News travel fast. Who told you?" "Yeah, I had them both. It was horrible." She was referring to the twin brother of the deceased child. "I just really feel for his parents. But for you too. You've had some really tough times recently." The nurse then tells her, "You seem to be having some very bad luck." To which she replies, "Not a lot I can do really. He had a massive hemorrhage. Could have happened to any baby." A day later, on August 5th, the twin brother of the recently dead baby falls critically ill. Now this is very disturbing as she had been trying to kill this baby for 4 days. Here's what she texted to her colleague when the baby fell critically ill. "I said goodbye to baby F's parents as baby F might go tomorrow. They both cried and hugged me, saying they will never be able to thank me for the love and care I gave to baby F and for the precious memories I've given them. It's heartbreaking, but you've done your job to high standards with compassion and professionalism. I just feel sad that they are thanking me when they have lost him and for something that any of us would have done. But it's really nice to know that I got it right from them. That's all I want." Aware of the rising suspicion around her, she slows down the killing. On September 21st, she attempted to kill the sixth baby. She gets a message from her manager as senior doctors and nurses are doubting her role in these deaths. She replies, "That's really nice to hear, as I gather you are aware of some of the not so nice positive comments that have been made recently regarding my role, which I have found quite upsetting. Our job is a pleasure to do and just hoped I do the best for the babies and their family." She tried to stop the killing but could not stop herself for more than a few weeks. The seventh baby fell critically ill on 13th October. When the shift leader asked Letby if the baby can be transferred to someone else, she writes, "I'd like to keep her, please. After knowing what she was doing to these babies, I can feel a chill down my spine when I read these texts." But after a few hours and perhaps some discussion with other staff members, it was decided that the baby will be transferred. No, was just asked to reallocate so no one has her for more than one night at a time. The baby died the next week. When Letby was on an overnight shift, she was found guilty of murdering this baby. Things started getting too hot after a series of deaths. She decided to lay low as the smoke was rising too high. You'll see later the only reason why she was not apprehended at this point, and it will even enrage you. Almost a year later, on 23rd June 2016, the urge to kill came back, and it came back stronger. She murdered another baby but did not stop there. The next day, she murdered the twin brother of the deceased baby. I cannot imagine what happened to the parents and what they must have gone through. But this time, the doctors were on high alert and they started asking questions about Lucy. We'll get to the part in the next chapter. Afraid of the scrutiny, Lucy starts panicking. Here the text message she sends to one of the doctors. Do I need to be worried about what Dr. Gibbs was asking? No. He was asking to make sure that normal procedures were being carried out. We've lost 2 babies I was caring for and now this happened. Makes you think, am I missing something? Or good enough? If anybody says anything to you about not being good enough or performing adequately, I want you to promise me that you'll give my details to provide a statement. Well, I sincerely hope I won't be ever needing a statement, but thank you, I promise. The doctor then texts this. You are one of a few nurses across the region, I've worked pretty much everywhere, that I would trust with my own children. While the doctor was trying to be supportive, little did he know the true nature of this monster. A thorough inquiry was carried later and every staff, nurse, and attendant was examined, including Lucy. It was all done due to the efforts of Dr. Steve Breary, a name you hear a lot in the coming chapter. In June of 2015, when the sudden deaths shocked the doctors at the hospital, Dr. Stephen Breary tried to get to the end of it, connecting dots and checking for himself if these deaths were related or not. What he found was Lucy Letby was on duty in all 3 deaths. To that, Dr. Breary said, "Oh no, it can't be. It can't be Lucy. Not nice Lucy." This statement goes to show why it was so difficult to pinpoint what was going on. Nobody had expected this completely normal, mentally healthy, loving and caring person to be capable of such a crime. But nothing can stand strong in front of the storm of evidence. How can so many babies die in a span of a few weeks, and in every death, Lucy Letby was present? So in October 2015, he sent an email to the unit manager Etienne Powell describing his suspicion, but it was all refuted. Powell dismissed all by saying that it was just a coincidence. Dr. Breary then shared his concerns with the director of nursing Alison Kelly. Radio silence. To a doctor, these deaths were very abnormal. How are babies suffering from non-fatal collapses, needing resuscitation and help with breathing with no other clinical explanation? The only hint? Letby was always on duty when these cases occurred. But this was not all. Another doctor, Dr. Ravi Jairam, saw Lucy standing near a baby who seemed to have stopped breathing. A nurse just watching a baby who is not breathing will ring a lot of alarms. With many meetings about this topic, sharing his explicit suspicion on Lucy Letby, Dr. Breary was met with nothing but silence. The management was not ready to believe that one of their staff could be doing such an unthinkable crime. I can understand their denial, but when one of the doctors, a person who knows what's going on, is so confident about his claims, the management should have done something. The deaths of 2 triplets was too much for Dr. Breary to handle. He called the duty executive Karen Rees, demanding Letby to be taken off duty. She refused. If you think that was bad, wait till you hear this. Dr. Breary asked Rees if she was okay taking this decision against the wishes of 7 consultant pediatricians, and if she would take the responsibility for anything that might happen to other babies. She replied yes. The next day, another baby almost died. This time again, like clockwork, Letby was on duty. But that's not all. The CEO even asked the doctors to apologize to Letby and they're not to cross the line or else there would be consequences. Some consultants were even asked to attend mediation sessions with Letby. I'm certain that the management did not want the babies to die, but by facilitating the killer and not listening to consultant pediatricians, the people who have an idea about what's going on, the management shares the crime with Letby to some extent and they should be held accountable as well. Coming to the last chapter of how they caught her, the police department started Operation Hummingbird to catch the culprit. It was an effort that lasted several years and they worked with Dr. Breary. Breary was the one who found the smoking gun. While analyzing medical records, he came across a blood test from 2015 for one of the babies in his unit. He was shocked to notice the dangerously elevated levels of insulin in the bloodstream. Here's how he noticed a shocking and sickening detail. While the insulin levels were elevated, the C-peptide levels were almost zero. The body produces insulin and C-peptide together. The fact that only insulin was high shows that it had been injected by someone. Someone had poisoned the baby. And finally, after 3 years of constant appeals by Dr. Breary, Letby was arrested in 2018, of which the video you saw in the starting of this video. And after 7 deaths, 6 attempted murders, and countless lives destroyed, Letby was sentenced for life imprisonment recently. Arrested after 3 years of committing the crime and sentenced after 8 years. Had the management acted on time, so many lives would have been saved. After Letby left the hospital, there was just 1 death in 7 years.
Lucy Letby, on each of the 7 offences of murder and the 7 offences of attempted murder, I sentence you to imprisonment for life. Because the seriousness of your offences is exceptionally high, I direct that the early release provisions do not apply. The order of the court, therefore, is a whole life order on each and every offence, and you will spend the rest of your life in prison.